Can we start in Russia with Mr. Snowden? I'm wondering if, since he has now asked the Russians for asylum, there has been any contact between this building and the Russians about your feelings about his status.
Well, I can tell you, I hadn't seen, or I don't have independent confirmation, I guess I should say, about any request he's made. I can tell you that we have been in touch, of course, with Russian officials. Our embassy in Moscow has been in direct contact on the ground. We are disappointed that Russian officials and agencies facilitated this meeting today by allowing these activists and representatives into the Moscow airport's transit zone to meet with Mr. Snowden, despite the government's declarations of Russia's neutrality with respect to Mr. Snowden.
So, I'm sorry, you're disappointed that they let someone into their own airport? I don't get it.
Well, that they facilitated this event, of course.
Well, why?
Because this gave a forum.
You don't think that he should have a forum? Has he's forfeited his right to freedom of speech as well?
Well, Matt, Mr. Snowden, as we've talked about, let me just state this because I think it's important. He's not a whistleblower. He's not a human rights activist. He's wanted on a series of serious criminal charges brought in the Eastern District of Virginia in the United States.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I didn't realize people who were wanted on charges forfeited their right to speak to free speech. I also didn't realize that people who were not whistleblowers or not human rights activists, as you say he is not, that they forfeited their rights to speak. So I don't understand why you're disappointed with the Russians. But neither that, leave that aside for a second. The group WikiLeaks put out a transcript, I guess, essentially, of what Mr. Snowden said at the airport. At the top of that transcript, it contained, it said that the Human Rights Watch, the representative from Human Rights Watch, researcher who went to this thing, while she was on her way to the airport, got a phone call from the American ambassador asking her to relay a message to Mr. Snowden that, basically the message that you just gave here, that one, he is not a whistleblower, and two, that he's wanted in the United States. Is that correct?
It is not correct. First, Ambassador McFaul did not call any representative from Human Rights Watch. An embassy officer did call to explain our position, certainly that I just reiterated here for all of you today, but at no point did this official or any official from the U.S. government ask anyone to convey a message to Mr. Snowden.
Do you believe that Mr. Snowden should not have had the opportunity to express his views at the airport in Moscow today?
Well, Matt, I think we broadly believe in free speech, as you know.
Except when
but
it
we
comes to
cannot
this.
look at this as I know we like to ask about sweeping scenarios in here, but
No, this is not sweeping at all. This is very specific, related to one guy in one place, in one city, one airport, at one time. So do you think that it was inappropriate for Mr. Snowden to speak publicly? Not that whether you're disappointed in the Russians, do you think that he should not have had the opportunity to speak publicly?
our focus, Matt, is on how our concern about how Russian authorities clearly helped assist the ability of attendees to participate in this. That is of concern to us. Our focus is on returning Mr. Snowden to the United States. Beyond that, I just don't have anything more.
Okay. Did you tell them that facilitating this appearance by Mr. Snowden was problematic, that you thought that they shouldn't do it? Did you ask them not to do it?
We made our concerns and our view on Mr. Snowden clear.
No, but specifically about giving him this propaganda platform, as you called it.
I don't have any more to read out for you from the private phone calls, Matt, just that
we
have been in touch.
Did you ask the Russians, please don't do this, we think he's a criminal and needs to come back? Did you ask and they rejected the request?
Well, Matt, we've been clear publicly
Yes.
countless times
I
what our view
understand
is,
that,
and we've
but-
consistently made the same points privately, today and any other day.
Right, but did you say that you would look negatively on them providing him a quote-unquote propaganda platform?
I just don't have any
Okay,
more on the specifics of the calls.
Is the United States government now in the business of trying to discourage people or governments from facilitating people having meeting with human rights activists? I don't
Matt,
get it.
this is not a universal position of the United States. This is an
So it's just
individual
in this one
who has
case.
been accused of 3 felony charges.
Right, but surely,
This is
Jen,
not a
okay,
unique.
he's been accused. Do you remember the old line that we're supposed to all know? He has
And
not
he
been
can
convicted
return
of
to the
anything
United
yet.
States and face
But
the
he can
charges.
also, surely, people who are accused of crimes are allowed their right of free speech, are they not?
Matt, I think we've gone the round
It's a
on this.
legitimate question. I mean, you talk about even in Russia that journalists have been persecuted and political activists have been persecuted, and you call for free speech around the world, but you're not saying that Mr. Snowden has the right of free speech?
That's not at all what I was saying. We believe, of course, broadly in free speech. Our concern here was that there was obvious facilitation by the Russians in this case. We've conveyed that. We've conveyed our concerns.
So
I'm
you're
stating them
upset.
publicly.
You're not upset about the press conference. You're upset that the Russians facilitated
We
it.
certainly are upset that there was a platform for an individual
But
who's
what
been
does that
accused of
matter?
felony
What is
crimes.
that? But what does that matter, really? I mean, you know, people that are in jail or on trial in the United States, they give press conferences or they speak out all the time. I mean, it sounds to me like what you're not really upset with the act that he spoke. You're upset with the fact that the Russians did something on his behalf.
I think I've expressed what
I
we're
don't-
upset about, and you keep saying what we're upset about, but I think I've made clear what we're upset about.
Madam, can I just follow quickly?
And you said that he's not a whistleblower, he's a felon. Now,
I said
according
he's
to
been
He's
accused
been accused, okay.
felony
He's not-
crimes,
Yeah,
yes.
but apparently, public opinion polls in America show that 3-1, the public says that he's a whistleblower. Does that factor in, like, the petition in Egypt in any way?
I think you're linking a lot of
No,
things
okay,
together
well, I mean,
there.
what
I'm conveying he is a United States citizen.
Right.
He's facing crimes in the United States. He can return to the United States and face the charges.
Okay, so public opinion should not matter in this case. That's what you're saying.
In terms of
This is a purely
defining
legal.
his specific role, I'm giving you an overview of the U.S. government view.
Is it your position that in his meeting with these human rights activists, Mr. Snowden committed more violations of American law?
Don't think I was suggesting that, Matt.
Okay, then I just don't understand. I think this is an incredibly slippery slope that you're going down here, that the U.S. government is going down here. If you are coming up and saying to us that you're trying to prevent an American citizen, albeit one who has been accused of serious crimes, from exercising his right to free speech, you don't agree with that?
I believe that what I've conveyed most proactively here is our concern about those who helped facilitate this event
Yes.
and make it into a propaganda platform.
Right, well, and
Or a public
the
asylum.
propaganda platform aside, free speech covers propaganda. Last time I checked, it covers a lot of things. And I don't see, unless he somehow violated U.S. law by speaking at the transatlantic at the Russian airport, I don't see why you would be disappointed in the Russians for, one, facilitating it, but also apparently, from what it sounds like, try to discourage them from allowing this event to take place at all.
Well, Matt, this isn't happening clearly, because we wouldn't be talking about it in a vacuum. And this is an individual, as we all know, who has been accused of felony
Right.
crimes in the United States. We've expressed strongly our desire to have him returned,
I
to
understand.
face those charges. This is all
But as you-
applicable context
But as
to
you
these
have also said,
circumstances.
he is a U.S. citizen. He remains
He
a
is.
U.S. citizen, and
Yes.
he enjoys certain rights as a U.S. citizen. One of those rights, from your point of view, is that he has the right to come back and face trial for the crimes he's
Mm-hmm.
committed. But the rights that you're not talking about are his right to free speech, his right to talk with whoever he wants to, freedom to assemble. I don't understand why those rights are, why you ignore those and simply say that he's welcome to come back to the United States to exercise his right to be tried by a jury of his peers. Why is that the only right that he gets, according to this administration?
I don't think that's what my statement conveyed.
All right.
Has the U.S. had contact with the Russian ambassador here to convey that message?
I'd have to check on additional contacts beyond what I just stated.
Okay.
Is there a belief in this building that the Russians are not dealing with the U.S. in good faith? regarding Edward Snowden?
I think our belief is what I stated, which is that they still have the opportunity to do the right thing. We are disappointed with their role in facilitating the events of this morning, but we will continue to convey that we'd like to see him returned, and they can play a role in that.
How much is this, sorry.
Mhm.
I was just gonna ask, has the administration sent any officials or any people representing the administration to this transit area in the Moscow airport to try and make contact with Snowden directly?
Not that I'm aware of.
How, if the Russians accept his asylum position, how badly will this damage the relationship? Is it, is this the most important issue in the relationship with Russia right now?
Well, I'm not going to rank them. Obviously, we work with Russia on a range of issues. There's no question that, as we've stated broadly with any country that would have a role in assisting him either in transit or in a final place for him to live, that would raise concerns in our relationship. However, we're not at that point yet. They still
Raise
have
concerns, or would it kind of damage the relationship irreparably?
Well, at least this hasn't happened yet. They still have the opportunity to do the right thing and return Mr. Snowden to the United States, and that's what our hope is.
But you don't really think that's going to happen. I mean, you're growing resigned to the idea that they're going to accept his asylum petition.
I'm not. That's not at all what I stated. Are we done with Snowden? Okay. Oh, go ahead, Captain.
In summary, just to say that today's events have not changed the U.S. position and have not changed his legal status, Snowden's status.
Sir, on the second, not that I'm aware of, and on the first, absolutely, it has not changed our position.